Sorry, I'm not sure which emotion I might go through during this video. I've stopped trying to control which one comes, just letting them flow in and out as they will. I'm sitting here and the sun has just gone down over the hills. I'm actually in Montana. I was going to southern Idaho to see a friend, and on the way there, and or a couple of friends actually. And it takes you around Montana, which is kind of cool. I was like, oh, I didn't know I was going to Montana so soon. But I knew I needed to stop for a little bit, let the car cool down, and I saw this sign, and it said Montana, the historic Montana Valley Bookstore, 10,000 used books. It's supposed to be a historic one. I've never known of it. It sounds really awesome, and so I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna think about my Eamon. And I wanted to start this because I started the story of Joey, my youngest, and I wanted to start the story of my Eamon. He's 16 now, and as I told everybody when I left in a mad huff about, you know what, you all get to be immature like you want and get to do whatever you want and have justifications for it, and then I have to sit and be the go-between. And I realized that a lot of people were using me to get them information about each other and then being mean to each other on top of it. And I've been trying to get everybody to be nice to each other, but somehow I'm the bad guy because I care and I want everybody to get along. And everybody, like, I don't even care. Don't say sorry. Just stop being cruel to each other. There's no justification, none whatsoever. Nobody likes it done in return. And I don't know. I'm just tired of it. But I've been thinking about my boys. I told them that I love them, and there's nothing they can do about it, like Mother of Twins says. And I told them that I'm on the long open road and singing badly. Like we used to always go to this beautiful ceremony, indigenous based ceremony. And along the way, I like when my oldest and I first started going, I made a playlist on Pandora that was like a bunch of different songs, and then that's when I first learned that he really liked musicals. So we put musicals on there too, and we sing badly, sing well, not sing. It was fun. And when my youngest was able to start going with us, we do that too. And we had a friend of theirs that I considered him my third child, and at a time because he was with us a lot, and I love him, and we'd all do it together. And somehow, I just always knew that we could do it, and it makes me think about my oldest, and I want to start with I want to start with his conception and a short, uh, minimal version of what happened from there. Because like, so my DM and I had been interacting in kind of an FWB sort of, not a situationship. I don't know. I when he was when he wanted me, he would call me. When I was available, I'd check in with him. There was never like I was aware that he had other, I was the third party at the time, and I didn't want to be dramatic. I didn't want to be in on things. Kind of much like like right now, it's like, you know what, y'all are driving me crazy, and it's about time that I do like give myself the permission to be a little dramatic. Or a lot dramatic. I don't know. I'm just tired of it all. I'm tired of everybody being mean to each other. Isn't there something from the Green Mile? Anyways, I'm trying to get my focus back. So, a few years into things, because it was about 4 years that we interacted before my DM and I got into a relationship, and by then, our oldest was almost 2. And I remember because my DM had gotten himself his first apartment on his own. It was the cutest little place. He was so afraid to lose it. He didn't want to be too loud. He was always worried about what the neighbors thought. And it was always pretty much empty because he's got Virgo placements, and that's just adorable way he is. Very, very minimal. And it's funny because I always had this sense that, like, he wanted me to move in there with him, but I wasn't the type. I mean, unless you say it, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to be that way. And he already had told me about how he'd always wanted a one night stand because every time he'd tried to interact with somebody to just have a moment of connection, they moved themselves in with him. And it's funny because later he told me that he was thinking to offer that to me, but then he hooked up with somebody else for, it was just supposed to be some light dating, and they moved themselves in. At least that was his story to me about it. I acknowledge that he's not exactly the most honest DM, and that's okay, but I have to acknowledge when speaking said stories that I don't have firsthand knowledge of, that there might be weirdness in there. In any case, I remember because we didn't connect too often. I used to go to, there was this place called the Crest Cinema Center when I knew that he'd usually reach out to me every week, and I had a friend that worked there, and I would go and watch a movie and think about him and hope that he reached out and just do my best not to spend the evening crying if he didn't, because I missed him. And we always talked about wishing that we had met in different timing, that our age range wasn't so different, that he hadn't always been married first. But I always pointed out, though, that he has a daughter that he had before I met him, and it's like, no, because if you hadn't gone through that, you wouldn't have her. And like, even I can admit, like, yeah, life can be challenging when kids get in the mix, but you should never regret a situation where you had a child, because that's spirit saying that child needed to be born, and something about you and the person that it was born, that child was born to, is important. It matters. It has a value always. And mm, I remember, I remember the night because I didn't go out there much. We connected, and it was just the sweet. He'd just been the sweetest that he could have been, and at the time I was trying to do my best to live life and not bug him and not, do what everybody else does, just don't, no pursuing, no nothing. And I did a far better job back then than I do now, but I didn't have kids. And I remember about 3 months into it, I I got sick. Like, I got really weird sick. Like, what do they call it? That gravitas morning sickness, where just like you're just puking all day long and stuff. And finally, I went to the doctor because that's not normal for me. I typically am pretty healthy. And they said, "Is there a chance that you're pregnant?" And the only person, like, I had broken up with the guy there was a guy that I'd been with for a while, and I'd broken up with him a month before I had gone and seen my DM. And so, like, I knew that the only person I'd done anything with was my DM. I'd been on the pill, but I have ADHD, so I mean, I'll own there are definitely times that it may have been up and down. I thought it was good, he thought it was good, we went for it. Then I find out I'm pregnant. And what made me laugh a little bit is because I'd had a dream about 2 months before that of a baby that looked exactly like my oldest son did when he was born. Although he had blonde hair in the dream vision, and he was born with brown hair like his dad's. And I remember it was like we were playing with a ball, and it was kind of this like thing of like I don't know, they talk about like we make these agreements in spirit, and it felt like that. Like, it was like, okay, you want me to come down, you want me to play? And I was like, in the dream I was like, yeah. So when I found out that I was pregnant and I got the test, it was like, wow. And that to me, like, I love my DM, but I did not, like, I was very codependent at the time too, and I did not want to ruin things for him. But I knew there was something so special in, this child that I found out I was pregnant with. And so I went to him like right away, and I showed him the paper, and I said, "It's definitely yours. You're welcome to, if you want, when it comes up, paternity test. I get it. We don't, I knew that the world that he was from, there was a lot of mistrust, and sometimes for good reasons, sometimes not. But I just laid it out there, and I said, look, we don't need you to be there if you don't want to be. I know that your life is chaos and emotion and everything. Unfortunately, whereas I thought, I told him he was well. I said, I want you to be there if you want to be there. And I thought, me, little old me, thinking that's probably what a man like that would want. I mean, if his story is that he's always been trapped by women, and he just wants love, isn't that what you want? Is somebody who doesn't want to trap you? Somebody who wants you to be there because you want to be there? And I just prepared. Like, I didn't know what to accept. What to accept. I didn't know what to expect. And I just started imagining, I was looking up names and thinking about, and I knew I knew because of the dream that it would be a boy. And so I started looking for names and stuff, and I spent all that time just dreaming about it. I fought my dad. He wanted me to get an abortion. My mom was kind of up and down about it. I was 18 at the time, so it wasn't exactly like timing wise necessarily great in terms of what everybody else thinks, but I felt like it, it just felt like, you know what, this is not a bad thing. It's a surprise, not an accident. And then I went through all that time pretty much not hearing from my DM. I assumed, like when I was like 7 or 8 months pregnant, that he was not going to be around. And the funny thing is that much like now that I'm thinking about it, Spirit set things up because I needed a car. So I reached out to my ex, and he had an old truck. And I went to go and get it from him and hang out with him. And it was, I believe it was with his sister, who was with my DM's sister. And we connected. And she asked me, was it really my DM's? And I said, yes, he's the only person I was doing anything with. And that she invited me in to be a part of her world more. And that made me so happy. Like, my DM is definitely, I'm just going to say, a shit talker. And I didn't know how much was truth and how much was not about what he was saying. I was nervous and scared, but for my son's sake, I wanted him to know who his family is on both sides. I was adopted. I wanted him to be able to at least have the ability to have the connection. What I really wanted was big happy family, but life is the way that it is. So but going through that, and then my DM started showing up, and I guess he tried to use me being pregnant as some sort of thing to fight with his other women, and it was weird. But I remember I remember the night that he was born because I had a roommate that drove me. I got up and I'm like, I want an Eggo waffle. And then my water broke, which I thought was the way it worked at that time because the movies always show it that way. Apparently, that's not normally how it works. You usually get contractions, you go to the hospital, then the water breaks. My water broke first. And I remember I was like, trying to clean up, thinking, okay, it breaks and then it's done, right? I didn't realize that amniotic fluid continues to build. So I got towels and I told my friend, you're going to drive my car. It was an icy February night. And I said, you go slow. Worst case, we can call somebody to come to the car. I don't want to get in an accident on the way. So he slowed down. And we got there, and one of my friends I haven't seen in forever, she moved about a year after that. We joked that she was going to be my baby's daddy because she cut his cord while he was there. And 30 hours I labored with him because I got gestational hypertension during it. And then he was born, and they asked me if I wanted him like right on the chest the moment. I said yes, just like I did with my little Joey too. Like, yes, put him right there. And we spent 3 days in that hospital. And I remember, I'm going to go through many memories of my little Eamon. He was always laughing no matter what happened, giggling and tickling, and it's always so adorable. We've got pictures of him like hanging out, cat toys, and I don't know. He's always been an observer. My little Pisces Aquarius. I love him so much. He's having his own adventure right now. I love it. I love it. And like, Spirit, I don't know exactly what you got in mind. I'm trying my best to listen, to say what feels like, to speak my truth, and to not be afraid of anybody anymore, because that's what I've been doing a lot of, is just speaking my truth and doing my best to be kind to it. I laugh because this bookstore over here it's like Petty CR Road, and I'm like going, yeah, see, like that's what gets me. Even I'm been being petty, and it's like enough. And I see a lot of this collectively too. We see it in the twin flame community too. Like when somebody isn't behaving in a way that you feel like they should for your affection or your attention or whatever, you ice them out, or you do something, or you do that kind of thing. And I mean, I've done some of that stuff in the past, but then I do it and I go, no, that's not how I want to act. That's not how I want people to be. And it just never, it's not that it never does anything. It's just, I don't know, maybe I just given myself an allowance to be a little crazy too, because it's hard. It's hard. It's hard trying to be everything for everybody, and I need this self-care. I need these moments to do me, and I'm so grateful to all of you who've donated already and who've sent, private messages that I don't know. Some of them I got, people saying they admire me, other people from back home that newer friends and stuff who weren't fully aware of my sabbatical, for lack of a better way to call it. When, are you going to be around? We miss you. And I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, but I'm on a weird journey. I don't know what's going on exactly, but I'll visit you when I get back. And It's beautiful because people are coming out of the woodworks, and they got either they're going to be somewhere that I am and I can stay with them, or there's people that I didn't even realize owed me a favor. Like, I didn't look at it as a favor, but they see it as that. And so many people saying you've always been so kind to us. And I don't know, I think about my boys, especially my oldest, and I've been praying, like, please let people show him that too. He's a lot the same. He does a lot for a lot of people. And a lot of times, when we're kind and we do it because it makes us feel good about ourselves, it's easy sometimes to get stuck in the cracks in the wayside. Anyways, I might come on later and do like a Wickedly Divine Lightworker Chronicle, but I really wanted to start this and to get myself thinking about my Eamon. He's been so good through like deaths in the family and this stuff with my DM, his dad, and just all these different things. And I feel like it's his turn to get lifted up, to get spoiled a little. I told that to my mom before leaving. I said, "Would you spoil him, please? Like, please. I know you want something to do, and he would love the time with you, and his little brother's off on his own adventure. Just gonna have faith that everybody can love everybody, and that everybody can stand to hear the truth, because trying to hide, whether it's for altruistic reasons or not altruistic reasons, it's just making everybody feel cold and lonely. And so I hope if you needed to hear that too, that it helps you find the light inside you so that you can see the light in everybody else and love them too. All right, everybody, please pray for me, pray for my boys, pray for everybody, pray for yourself. I love you all. Mwah.